I thought, wow, the tide is really high at the beach. And then when I got home, I learned we were in a tsunami warning.
Ugh. I've finally decided to take my relationship to the next level, Sarah. I'm getting a joint Costco membership.
Oh, that is a big step. My mom shops at Costco, and that's how I will never ever run out of toilet paper or capers.
Capers, huh? Who needs to go all the way to Bora Bora when you can gargle with limited edition coconut lime Listerine in the comfort of your own home?
Planes not required. Have such a good day. Hello, world. Welcome back to Have Such a Good Day, the show that wants you to do just...
We're coming in hot, y'all. Episode
Yeah, we are.
132. Have such a good day. Cheap day.
Episode 132. I like that number.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of like 1, 2, 3.
It is.
But different. But
Yeah.
it still makes me feel secure.
Yeah, it's like a little secure because you got to feel secure in your numbers. That's for sure.
Well, you look at a number sometimes and you're like, I don't like the look of that number.
Yeah. I got to tell you.
Other numbers, you're like, this is a good one.
I know people say this and I'm not special or anything, but like I am telling you, like 1111, there is something significant about that for me.
You and Paris Hilton agree.
Oh,
Heather.
great. Oh, great.
And the
Just
reason
the
I know
person I
this
want
is
to be
because
compared to.
I was watching her latest reality
Oh, I bet
show
you were.
recently, and 11:11 is just like such a special time.
Oh, boy. Oh,
I'm
great.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Thanks
to
a
ruin
lot.
this for
You ruined it for me. Well, I'm going to laugh about it because I sure as hell do not want to cry today.
Oh man, no cry. There's no crying and Have Such a Good Day.
No,
We're
never,
not gonna cry.
no.
We actually, I mean, I've for sure cried. I don't know if you've ever cried.
No, I think you've cried for me, though, which is a really good friend.
I just,
And great co-host.
There's just certain times where you're like, I gotta do it. I
Yeah.
gotta cry. It's
Yeah,
coming.
you got to squeeze one out.
Sort of. Ew. Makes it kind of poopy sounding.
Told you we're coming in hot here.
Squeeze out a cry. We are coming in hot. For anybody who's listening to this, this is after MLK Day, but that's when we're recording this. So, happy Martin Luther King Day, everyone. So here's a funny thing, because this is sort of like a twofold story. But so I wear contacts. I'm not wearing them right now because my contacts that were supposed to be delivered in the mail have not yet arrived in my mailbox. So, got to wear glasses or I can't see shit. And this morning, fairly early, I bought this coffee at the at a store that I don't go to that often, grocery store, and I didn't know the brand, but I was like, oh, I don't know, local brand, whatever. I didn't really like it, so I went down to the corner store this morning to get. They have like coffee and percolators. It's not great coffee, but it'll do the job. I was just like, I don't know, I'm not loving the coffee that I have at the house, and I bought this like weird creamer, and I'll just go get coffee.
You and your weird creamer.
I know. Oh my gosh, so many stories for another time. But as I'm leaving, I see a mail person in the mail truck, and I'm like, first of all, I didn't expect them today because it's a holiday, national holiday. And second, I'm actually like legit waiting for something in the mail. Like usually I don't care what's in the mail, but I really want these contacts. And so I like flagged her down. It was a woman. And I flagged her down. And I was like, hey, I didn't realize you guys were working today. And she kind of looks at me like, what?
What could you possibly want?
Because we weren't right next to my house. I mean, we weren't far, but it wasn't like I could like point to my own mailbox or whatever. But I was like, oh, I was just wondering if you've already gone down Forest Hills. But I'm waiting for some contacts. And she was like, I don't know. Yeah, like just poison dagger stare where I was like, all right, I'm sorry. All right, go about your business. We're fine. Sorry. I still don't know if they're in the mailbox. I haven't checked since. Oh, gosh.
That's funny. Sarah, I'm kind of ashamed of myself because I just got rid of my Christmas tree. Well, I got rid of it on the 13th of January. And
I got some neighbors with Christmas trees fully up and lit.
Wow. Okay, so
Yeah,
I'm not as
like
ashamed
I'm like,
then.
yeah, don't be
I
ashamed.
mean, I was busy.
But
I was out of town. I was
yeah.
busy, but I did enjoy it. I mean, it felt kind of weird, like after, January 1st, like, this is kind of getting stale. But, I enjoy the lights and everything, and just kind of throw it back over the cliff into, instead of, putting it on the street, which is depressing when you see it in the city. Like you mentioned that, I think one of the last episodes, Sarah.
Oh yeah, or they're like sticking out of a garbage
Yeah, that
can
is
or
depressing. But
something.
see, when you live in the country, you can just throw it right back out there and it'll just biodegrade with the rest of everything. So I'm feeling pretty good about
Kinda.
that.
I feel it's funny. My mom, she is a tree person. I am not. I just don't. I don't have the time. But my mom, every year, put up the tree, put up the ornaments from my childhood, the whole thing. But she, a couple of years ago, moved to a fake tree where she's just like, it's so great, Sarah. Like I just like take it out of the garage, looks like a tree, and then she has like incense that's designed to smell like pine
No
trees.
way.
And she burns it, and so she feels like it's a real
Oh,
tree.
that's so funny. I like that idea of the incense, like that.
Well, what was funny is like I walked into her house and I'm like, "Oh, Mom, it's really nice in here." And she's like, "It's my incense. It's the pine tree incense." And I was like, "Holy shit! I thought it was the tree, but the tree is fake. Clearly not coming from the
I
tree."
might want some of that. That sounds pretty cool.
It felt very
I
nostalgic.
love that. And if there's something comforting about pine, because we get the dish soap, the Myers, and I usually get
Yep, Mrs.
yeah, I get
Myers,
like
me too.
basil or lavender or whatever it is, but they do these limited edition versions for holidays like peppermint and Iowa pine.
I didn't know that.
They have an Iowa pine that might be new from this year. I bought like 8 of them because they're limited edition.
Is it because Elijah's from Iowa?
No, it has nothing to do with that, but I love the smell. It is, Sarah, it is, I wash my hands with it.
It is a lovely smell.
Oh, it is so yummy. It makes me want to wash the dishes.
That's awesome. I did not know that, and I'm a pretty big Myers buyer, especially the Airbnb. Like it's all Myers,
Yeah.
And I was just sort of like look on Amazon and see what the cheaper, lemon verbena or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
I don't like that one.
but I have not seen the pine. I would
Maybe
I
I'll
would
hold
love
one
that
for
for
you.
myself.
I'll hold one for you.
Please, just throw it really far.
I'll put your name on it. I'll add you to the wait
and I'll
list.
get it. Well, Heather, I know you're not going to love this story.
no.
No one's gonna love this story. But I would be remiss if I didn't tell it to you. We talk sometimes about, just especially in the winter, the houses are kind of, it's cold and leaves are dead and blah blah blah. And that's sort of been my MO for the last solid month and a half. It's just kind of. We've had a real cold spell. We had quite a bit of rain
Yeah,
in the Bay Area,
totally.
which is good. Always, you have to say that, or you jinx yourself. It's good. We need
Yes.
it. But I was just like, oh my God. I mean, I wear galoshes all day long. There's just mud all over my house. Like I can't take it. So one of the things that I've been struggling with is ants. Ants in my apartment, and I have now. I'm going to my third. Well, I'm in my third winter here, so I mean, it's not that I, don't kind of know what the protocol is, but there's just never been critters or I don't know, bugs of any kind or ants or spiders really in my house until this winter, and I don't know why, but it's just something I've been dealing with. And the ants are more of a nuisance than anything. I know some people are like so disgusted by ants, but like when I see like a little ant like running around in a circle by itself, I'm like, oh, where's your
Or
family?
carrying something on its back. You ever see it like with like a little piece of?
Not in my house.
Oh,
Anyway.
I've seen that where they're carrying a piece like a crumb, or something.
It's just like honestly like the ant thing is like I don't hate ants as a concept. And when I see a little ant by itself, I'm like, I'm about to murder you. I'm sorry. But like, I just, you can't be in
It's
here.
not like a cockroach,
It kind of, no, God, no. No, it's like, I always feel like a little bad about it because I don't hate ants. Anyway, so, but again, like every morning, I kind of like put my contacts in or put my glasses on. I look at the counter and I'm like, oh man, there's ants again. Okay, let's take care of this. The amount of like 409 and soft scrub that I've gone through, like just like dumping it down sinks, trying to figure out like where are they coming from? Let's just make it, not hospitable for them anymore. So much time. So I go into the bathroom the other day and, as usual, there's a couple ants on the counter and I'm like, gosh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take everything off the counter, like hairbrush and like makeup weird stuff and perfume and just like everything off the counter, and let's douse this and just like get it super clean so the ants don't want to come back. Well, one of the things that's on my counter in my bathroom is a Sonos speaker, a Sonos One, where, I talk to Alexa and everything, and I listen to like podcasts or music if I'm in the shower. And I never move it because it's right next to the plug and it just sort of like sits in the corner, and like, I don't know, like I just wipe it off, if I think it looks dusty, and it's fine. I move it for the first time in some time and I'm like, oh shit, there's a bunch of ants under the speaker. That's weird. Oh gosh. Okay, let's clean that up. Then I realize, Heather, that the ants have developed a colony inside the speaker.
No way.
And they start coming out of the mesh.
What?
Yes.
Oh my God.
It is a full-on American Horror Story that you cannot make this stuff up. Like, and once I realized what was happening, because I was, again, like, I'm like, I can barely see. So I like get my glasses, and I'm like, oh no. Oh, that's bad. So I take the speaker outside, and I'm just like spraying it with 409, like, I mean, so mean, like, ant murder all over the place. For the next 12 hours, not even kidding, it's still actually out there. Ants were just like falling out of the mesh of the speaker. Hundreds.
Never heard
of
anything
them.
Like this. I've heard about,
and it was in my bathroom.
I've heard about like mice in like engines of cars and rats and that kind of thing, but ants in a speaker? Huh, maybe it's a thing.
I mean, I assume it was sort of...
Maybe it's warm and comfy in there.
Kind of warm and comfy, yeah. I mentioned this to a friend and he was like, why would you ever put a speaker in a bathroom? That's such a dumb idea. Like that's, like it's like a thirst trap. And I was like, yeah, but I mean, I live alone. I mean, there's a window in my bathroom. I never actually close the bathroom door when I'm taking a shower. Like, it's not like it's wet in there. But I don't know, something terrible happened. So I actually, the speaker's still outside because I'm like just like terrified of bringing it back inside now. And I've sprayed it with so much 409 that I'm like, I would be surprised if it works.
Don't electrocute yourself.
But it's a
when
real
you turn
nice
it back
speaker,
on.
so we'll see. We'll see. Oh my God. That's when the ants started to come out. And then I started to feel bad again because I'm like, oh man, I'm killing all of them. It's like, like the Twin Towers or something.
I know it does seem
like it was
like a bunch of dead ants like in a line is kind of sad, and they're all like wet and like just like broken apart. But I'm no ant expert, Sarah. But I've had a fair amount of exterminators come out to my Airbnbs because when you don't. Obviously, it's a little bit more of an emergency when your business is getting overrun by some kind of critter. We've had mice problems. In the winter, a lot of these critters come out of the woodwork, which we've talked about on the show, in particular mice and ants. And up here, what I have learned, well, at least all of these exterminators tell me that ants love the rain.
I love, by the way, just real quick, like I love like Heather and her braces.
Oh my God, it's driving me crazy.
Did you understand me the first time? Let me say it again.
No, it's
really
like
cute.
Kind of subtle, but like I do catch myself sometimes. Like I really do feel like
you're like exterminators.
Like it's so embarrassing. But
it's not embarrassing. No, honestly, like if I didn't bring attention to it, I don't think anybody would.
It's kind of endearing, though.
I think it's very.
Well, it's
cute.
funny because I think my boyfriend thinks it's cute too. Because sometimes we'll be talking, and then I see his eyes dart down to my mouth, and I'm like, "Why are you looking at my mouth?" And he's just like, It's cute the way you talk with your trays in, or something. Yeah. I'm like, God, you really must love me. But yeah, so
that's cute.
yeah, it's very cute. But seriously, I really do think it has to do with the wet, the rain, and also I know you probably don't want to hear this because you're going to have to open up the yellow pages and make some phone calls, but really you have to get to the root of it because ants will just keep coming back. And we've had a similar problem in one of our cottages, and you have to find that there's like a launching point, the way they get into the house.
Yeah.
There's a little area that they're able to, it's like a welcome mat. And they need to find where that is, where they're getting in, or you may never get rid of them. I mean, I think when it dries out, when the weather gets warmer, I think they should go away. But yeah, I don't know. Exterminator if I were you. And I know how you feel about killing critters. I do too. But they're just a bit of a nuisance.
Listen, once the Sonos speaker ant colony happened in my own bathroom, I was like, oh no, we're going nuclear. This is untenable. Like, and we're still not over it. Although I took the speaker outside, after dousing it. Again, not sure if it'll ever work again, but I keep checking on it. It's like over on the other house's porch, like very far away from me. And I keep looking, and like the first day, like ants were just like pouring out of the
creepy.
no, very creepy. I mean, horror movie. And then the second day was like, just a few. I checked this morning and I didn't see any. So I'm like, maybe we've done our job. Gotta have to figure out where the speaker's going, not going back in the bathroom. But yeah, it was
Sarah, I have a movie recommendation for
dramatic.
you. It's a sci-fi movie. It's really cool. It's from 1974, which is honestly that's the year I was born, and the 70s was a great decade for film. And it's a very famous movie. It's called Phase 4, and I might have mentioned it on the show, but it's about like ants basically a whole clan of ants kind of takes over like the world basically. But it's not like
just what I need,
it's
Heather.
not really scary. It's very interesting. It's very sci-fi. It has more of a sci-fi vibe than like a horror.
What's it called? Stage 4?
No, Phase 4. It's really good.
Phase 4.
It's really good. It's a good, like, for a cinephile, that is, right? The cinephile. Gosh.
Cinephile, yeah. Cinema.
God. Okay. Well, let me clear my throat. Yeah, I'm sorry about your ants. It can be
That's all right.
very
It's we're getting back to real life, but yeah, it was something where I was just like, how long has this been going on? I just didn't know. This was like a thing that I never really moved. Even like, when I would clean my counter, I'd kind of clean around it type thing. I did not realize what was happening, and it was, oh man, that was, gosh, it was a couple days ago, and I mean, it was something we're like. Again, like my contacts weren't in. I was like,
You're so
oh
vulnerable.
my God. Yeah, like I haven't even had any coffee yet. Coffee's still brewing, not one sip. And I'm like, all right, let's do it.
I feel for you because if I think too hard about it, I don't want to think too hard about the fact that there are critters living in places that you probably don't even know. Like we've talked about, maybe our shoes, that you should probably clean out your shoes before you put your feet in them. But it just makes me wonder. I mean, we are living among critters. There are more critters on this planet by far than humans and other carnivores or herbivores. It's wild.
All the
things.
Yeah. Dinosaurs are dead, but lots of other animals still alive.
Well, at least we're not in Australia. Australia it's funny. I have this fantasy of like getting whisked off to like Australia with like, I don't know, just this silly little fantasy.
You do?
Yeah, kind of.
I did not know of this fantasy of yours.
One thing you don't know about me, Sarah.
Whisk me off to Australia and I'm just going to hang out with the dingoes and the kangaroos.
I love dingoes. I want a dingo and I want a kangaroo too. But the thing about Australia, there's something sort of romantic and mysterious for me because I've never been there, but I refuse to live there because of how many poisonous critters they have. I mean, by far. I can't remember what the stats are. I believe I mentioned this in a very early episode, of how worried I was to go to Australia because of this. But I'll have to check my facts. But there's a lot. It's scary in
I
that
have
way.
only been to Sydney and the surrounding areas just once, and that was some years ago. So I mean, I could say I've been there, but I've seen very little of the continent. Um, I do remember there being some really cute critters and
Yeah,
trees. Not monkeys, but like
like
just
lemurs and stuff.
I
Did
don't
you ever see a
remember
koala in a tree?
exactly. I did
Oh,
actually,
jealous.
but I had to like seek it out. It wasn't like in the
What
city
about a
itself.
sloth?
But didn't see a sloth, although I would love to see a sloth and just like cuddle and maybe take a little bit of a nap
I love
together.
sloths. They're so cute.
But my point is I don't remember it being creepy
Okay.
crawly, but I mean,
You weren't like in the
what are you
outback.
gonna do? I mean, Hawaii's like that too, and you go to Hawaii all
No,
the
you're
time.
right. I do all the time. Yeah, I'm there all the time, every other weekend.
No, I mean you've been there a
I have.
handful
I've
of
been there a
times.
lot, actually.
Heather's in Hawaii
Again.
every other week.
God, she's always in Hawaii, that girl. No, I'm at home swishing with my fancy coconut Listerine, Sarah.
There you go. No need to go to Bora Bora. Why would you?
Yeah, seriously. Speaking of actually fancy luxury, I actually just came back from a sweet little spa week. You know about it, Sarah, because I've been telling you little bits and pieces of how it went.
Yeah.
It was actually the point of it was to not celebrate, but sort of acknowledge the passing of my dad from last year. And so I had booked this nice trip for me and my sister to, just sort of
Take a breather.
take a breather and sort of acknowledge the year that has passed and treat ourselves to something really nice, because I know my dad would want that, because he used to take us to these places and we go to fancy meals and get nice wine, and it was also my sister's birthday, so it was just this whole thing that we treated ourselves to, and it was really, really, really nice. It was really needed in a lot of ways, physically and mentally. And it's, you might as well treat yourself while you're kind of memorializing or remembering something, and you want to remember things. You want to sort of at some point.
Yeah, like equate it with like a positive experience.
Exactly. You can't be sad all the time. I mean, it's like you just can't. And I'm not, and so it just sort of reminds you that, life goes on, and treat yourself. Anyway, so there were a lot of things that kind of struck me on this trip. I mean, I'm not going to get into every single detail, but it was a lovely little adventure. But obviously, how much food I can consume, sometimes I'm like, wow. I mean, we really did glut it up. And then
That sounds great.
it was so great. And then I almost felt like a little guilty, but the impressive amount of time that I can float quietly in a pool, just kind of listening, like I'm in a meditative way, like listening to passersby, like you hear a helicopter go by in the distance, and then like all the audio kind of is different. You have your eyes closed and you're floating, and it's just like this really cool like audio symphony. I just really enjoyed that. That was actually a huge part of like my relaxation. But I want to specifically talk about strangers. I have this obsession with strangers, mostly I think during the pandemic, because I sort of miss being around a lot of strangers. But I don't want to give the wrong impression here. There are good ones and there are bad ones. Plus, I want to talk a little bit about chickens. So I would say one of the biggest things that I miss about life in the before times, Sarah, is the random encounters with strangers. And I've brought this up before. We used to be kind of barflies in the best way possible. And I used to I loved bartenders. They were my friends, and people who sat next to me. It was always so fun. People
Totally.
you sit
Yeah.
next to
You
in the
have the best
plane.
conversations.
Oh, it's the best. Like, yeah, some of the best conversations I've had are with random strangers on a plane that you sit next to. And
Yeah.
you can learn a lot from strangers. And obviously, maybe you learn a lot more from the people that you love and you talk to all the time, obviously, but there's little snippets of wisdom and anecdotes that these people that you don't know anything about tell you that really strike you, that might really affect you. So I had a lot of those. I had a lot of fun happenstance, just run-ins with people. I mean, some people too, when I meet them, I feel like I was meant to meet them. It's like this very fleeting conversation, but I'm like, I walk away feeling just uplifted and energized. Yeah. Like everything's okay in the world. Like this person went through this and they are human too.
Yeah.
And
I know that feeling. You kind of walk away almost like that was like a movie.
yes. Oh my God. This one in particular was a movie. So I'm in this huge, it's like an Olympic size hot springs pool at this place that I stayed at in Calistoga. It's a phenomenal pool, and it's all has like healing properties and all that stuff. And there's steam coming off of it, and it's so great. This is the pool that I was floating around. They have like noodles, and you can kind of like hang out on them. And I met this. I'm doing one of my chill sessions. I met this Russian lady. She was from Moscow, and she was probably in her late 60s. She was so cute and jovial, just cute face, just like a really pleasant lady. And we just started talking, and she, brought up that she lost her husband last year. She wasn't sad or anything, but she was just telling me about like her mourning process and she was going on this like pilgrimage throughout California to Big Sur and by herself. And she just kind of,
that's so adorable.
in her thick accent, she just was like, you have to think of, you can't think of these people as not being here anymore. Like, what is here? What is it that we see? There's all these layers, and a lot of it we don't see. And I can't really put it into the right words because of the way she articulated it, but I think I got the meaning of it. And it was just a very sweet interaction. And when I had to leave, we were rushing off to dinner, and I get out of the pool, and she goes, I'm like running off in my, God, I keep getting these phone calls. Sorry. I've gotten so many phone calls. I'm going to talk about this later in the show, actually, keeping up with everybody. Okay. But I jump out of the pool, I'm in my swimsuit, I'm running off to meet my sister, and she yells out in her Russian accent, she's like, "You a rock star." It was like so cute. I can't explain it. It was just a fun little interaction. And then I got this fancy facial from this male esthetician. I've never had a facial from a male, but he was just a very fun guy. Like, he just gave me all this great advice and, kind of told me that collagen is all hype, blah, 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 blah. We just had like a great little bond. And it was just like, I just felt great after, like, I met a new friend. And then I met a couple New Yorkers next to us at dinner. And it was just, I think you put yourself in those people's shoes. And so it feels refreshing because you're like, you're sitting across from somebody.
It's a reminder that you're not the only person going through something.
Exactly. And like, these young New Yorkers didn't seem fazed by wearing masks or anything. And they were off on like this foodie tour of California. And like, it was just so fun talking to them. Anyway, that is all. And always like the waiters and waitresses and all that. We had so much fun just kind of, talking about life with all of them. And they were super, super friendly, despite everything. But then you have those strangers that are kind of, I don't know, out of touch, in their own world, annoying, whatever you want to call it. But like,
yeah, we're like, the conversation strikes up and you're like, what?
Yeah, there were some people who, I think a lot of people, and we've talked about this before, and I don't blame them. I think people have definitely become more kind of like reserved in themselves because they're more afraid to take your mask off and talk to people, or like make a connection because they're worried about getting sick or whatever. And I totally get that. But this girl who was floating around in the pool with me, I'm not joking. She was on a floaty listening. She was watching a full-on movie without headphones on a floaty at like a quiet zone, like spa pool. It was the weirdest thing. I'm like, I can hear your movie.
Also, like, that's very bold. Like, was she for sure it was not going to fall in the pool and like,
I don't know. I mean, it looked,
ruin her iPad or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it was on.
I would never do that.
I know. I was just like, and then also, I'd be very embarrassed. Like, just like kind of pushing my audio on other people. And
yeah, it's just like noise pollution.
Yeah, and I noticed more and more of that lately, like in weight rooms or just like small spaces. People will like watch a YouTube video without headphones and just like watch a whole video. And there's people like, it's like a quiet space.
Like, especially like, it depends on what you're watching too. Like some things are like, I don't know, it's like a recipe thing. But other things are like, they're dropping F-bombs.
Yeah, it's like a music video.
I've definitely seen that where I look at them and I'm like, you don't know that I'm not
I
offended
know it
because I'm not.
it's
But like, what if I was?
exactly, and it's really, really in those cases, it's hard for me to put myself in their shoes because I just don't get it. But yeah,
Yeah.
anyway, and so then there were the chickens, and I needed a break from those humans, so I went over. There's a little a chicken coop at this fancy, spa hotel. Really, really nice little outdoor area with like
Do they have
gardens and
like are they doing eggs and
they're
the whole
doing eggs.
thing?
Yeah, they're not being
Yeah.
they're not being slain and eaten or anything. They're very
Eaten.
fat,
Yeah,
happy
yeah.
chickens. I mean, the fattest chickens I've ever seen actually. They all had names, and they had a little board outside that had their names. One of the names was Heather, if you can believe it. And then it was like
Oh.
Peppers and
Heather the chicken.
yes.
That's perfect.
I don't get that, but okay. And I mean, she wasn't the prettiest of all of them, but I think Peppers was really cute. But anyway, it was so funny. There were about 12 of them, and they all came up to the fence. They were very friendly. And I just kind of like took some video, took some photographs. They were squawking at each other, and just, it felt soothing hanging out with them because they're just, they got little pea brains, and they're just like curious about you. And they were all like, they were not scared of me at all. Like I felt like we just like had a little hangout session. But yeah, and I'm not the first person that's ever felt soothed by animals. I'm not saying that, but chickens, man, I never thought.
I'm a chicken fan. My friends Frank and Trish, who you know, Heather, for some time had Dolores and Valencia, the chickens, in their backyard in San Francisco. They have like a full-on yard, but I mean, it's still, even if you have a yard in a city, it's not a very big yard. And they lived back there, and you'd go like, we'd go down, and have a little rosé sometimes on a nice day, and they'd just be like, bark, 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 and like just jump on top of your lap if you let them. They were like totally fun, like just like house
They
pets.
are. They're really awesome. Like I've kind of considered getting some. I have a workman who has all kinds of birds. He even has, what is the kind of bird he has? He has this like bird that doesn't fly. So it's like some kind of hen or a goose or something that just doesn't fly. So it just hangs out in his backyard.
A quail?
No, it's not a quail. It's bigger than that. But it's like a Japanese blah. I don't know. But he has a name for it. Like it's like his pet. I'm like, that's so cool.
You know what my favorite TikTok is? Bird TikTok.
Oh, really? Oh.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
More
Bird
than cat TikTok?
is, I mean, cat TikTok and dog TikTok, of course. I mean, that's a given. But bird TikTok is very interesting. Oh yeah.
I'll have to log back in and check that out. I haven't been on there for days.
There's just so many birds who like I like kind of know their lives now and their routines. And there's this one bird. It's a I don't know if they're from Mexico, but they speak Spanish. It's a Spanish speaking family. So the bird only knows Spanish words.
No way.
But one of the kids who runs the TikTok, it's sort of the joke is that like, when the bird's in a mood, he'll just be like, "Meow, meow, meow," do his thing, and so there's like subtitles. It's great.
I'll have to check that out. You're still a pretty big TikTok person.
I'm a daily TikTok person.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm not on, thank God, I'm not on TikTok all day. I don't make any. I just don't have the time. But I love TikTok very much. Yeah.
I think it's just finding the time for it, really.
Bird TikTok and people who live on like large farms with like horses and goats and stuff. I'm following all of those people.
Well, I'm so glad you could relate, and now we can commiserate about farm animals. I'm so happy. We've got goats down the street and sheep, and I mean, I love those guys. I'm like, I want a goat, I want a sheep. There's a lot of really beautiful farmland up here with like healthy looking farm animals, not like, the stuff you see on the Highway 5 where it's like slaughterhouses and stuff like that. But anyways, yeah, man, that tsunami, I came home to that tsunami warning, and it's crazy because this whole area is very tsunami zone. There's signs everywhere. And the adjacent town is very at sea level. I mean, it's like right at sea level. There's a bay, there's these dunes, and like where the water kind of comes up, and it's a little scary because they call this one area called the bottoms, and I mean, it's because it is so low. Those are the areas that if I were living there, I'd be pretty freaked out with that tsunami warning the other day. But we
Yeah.
live further north, like way up on a cliff. And boy, could I tell though that I've never seen the tide as high as it was, and the waves were huge. But it was it was kind of creepy. I mean, it was like, wow, like it makes you really feel like we're just at the mercy of like the plate tectonics of the earth, you know? Like I'm
Yeah.
so glad I mean, I live on the edge of a cliff, but I'm at least we're set back enough that it would take a very, very large volcanic eruption or earthquake to make us fall off the cliff or have like a
Take you
tsunami
out.
go up over the cliff because we're pretty high
Yeah.
up there. Anyway, I
Well, you
felt
know,
very, very grateful that I live where I live.
I had a similar feeling the other day when I had gone to the beach. Otis and I go to the nearest beach to us, the ocean. About once a week. I mean, we don't always get there, but I try to because he loves it so much, you know. And he eats seaweed, and then he has diarrhea later. It's great, but you know, it is both of our most happy place. And so Friday morning, which was not, there was no tsunami warning. I didn't know anything about Tonga, had not heard a thing. But Friday morning, pretty early, we went out there, and I always take him early to run him around because dogs aren't supposed to be off leash, but like nobody really cares. But I'm not trying to like run into a ranger either. And we get there, and it's sort of like, it kind of reminds me of almost where your house is, Heather. Like as you're driving into, like, it's a state park, you're way up a cliff, and you can go all the way down to like this parking lot. But I always just park kind of on this like side, like halfway down, and then I just walk down the rest of the way. There's a trail, it's fine. And as I'm walking down, I'm like, the tide is really high. Shoot. Which isn't the end of the world. It just means that we can't cross certain areas that we usually, I kind of like to do, like get my steps in, you know, if I'm going to be there anyway. Or I'm like, oh yeah, we're just sort of relegated to this area. But then when I get down to the bottom, this woman and her dog, they're just kind of leaving, and she's kind of looking out to sea, and she's like, something's not right. I'm gonna leave. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, we're just kind of gonna run around a little bit, you know, whatever. And so she leaves, and so it's just me and Otis. It's just the two of us. And you know it is because there's no way you can get down unless you park where I parked, you know. So I kind of know what I'm getting into. Like there's no one else down here, and the waves are so big, and the tide is so high that like we were kind of crunched up against like the rocks. And these rocks, I can't stress enough, like, I mean, they're 50 feet high,
Wow.
maybe more. It's just a wall of rocks.
Yeah.
And they're really beautiful until you're like, oh, I could not climb up this if I was in a pinch. And it was so weird. I kind of like was like, okay, Otis, eat your seaweed. Like, we got to get out of here. Like, something's weird about this. Then I get home, and it's like, tsunami warning.
Well, aren't you glad you didn't? You probably wouldn't have gone to the beach if you knew about, because you
I
always
for
had a
sure wouldn't
phobia
have.
of tsunamis, haven't you? Because you lived at
Yes.
Venice, which was a major tsunami area.
The entire time I lived in Venice, because it's flat, and my house was right on the water, and it was also just like, I didn't feel like structurally it was gonna withstand anything dramatic, you know, that got thrown at it. I was constantly worried about tsunamis, and people would say, Sarah, I mean, I think your like anxiety is getting the best of you, and I'm like, I know it is. However, you drive all around this town, and there's like tsunami, you know, like here's the tsunami, like here's the getaway road, you know, that you're supposed to take, and you're only supposed to go 40 degrees. Like there are signs all over this place. Like clearly I'm not the first person to think about this.
Yeah, no, tsunamis are scary. I mean, you don't, they're kind of unassuming. I think that's what is extra scary about them, is they do a slow crawl, and you just don't. They're creepy. They creep and they crawl. I don't know. It's
Well, the whole thing is like the tide goes way out, right?
yes.
And then it comes back in, and that's worse. And
Yeah.
that is nightmarish to me.
It really is. I totally agree.
You know, if I saw that and I was like down on the, like at sea level, I'd be like, we are out of here.
Also, I shouldn't feel too confident on top of this cliff because, you never know. It could be, I mean, it could really rise the sea level this high. I mean, what do I know? Especially an underground volcano. I mean, that's serious business.
Well, that's uplifting, Heather.
Well, email us if you guys had any experience with this tsunami. Maybe you're on the other side of the globe and you experienced a tsunami warning. Let us know. hi@havesuchagoodday.com.
Please do. So, Heather, you talked about taking a trip recently, and it sounds like it was really fun and restorative, on some level. And I have, it's so funny. My mom was at my house the other day, and like, my mom is so in love with my dog Otis that, I mean, she might love him like slightly more than she loves me. And, every time we're all together, she kind of goes like, I could take him for like up to a week, if you want to like go somewhere. And I'm like, well, I'm not going anywhere, Mom. Well, but if you did, maybe,
Like,
just, yeah, like almost like get out of here, kid, so I can take your dog. It's great. I mean,
Sure.
I couldn't ask for anything more, it's a great, we all have a good relationship, but it just so turns out that, and I haven't since the last time I was on a plane, which was a private plane. This was for a job I was doing. It wasn't my own, obviously, but that was the very beginning of 2020. And
this was to San Francisco, or where was that again?
yeah. It was like, no, that's not, no, it was to LA.
Okay.
But we took off from Santa Rosa Airport. Anyway, but I mean, which was super fun. Like, I always sit with the pilot and like, have my headphones on so I can hear like, all the people at the control towers talking to each other and stuff. But that was over 2 years ago. Oh, well over. We are past that. Have not been on an airplane, and that's all COVID related. I mean, I'm a happy traveler.
You are.
Things have changed for me, especially with Otis, just because, you can have someone watch your cat or whatever, but when it's a big old dog who has separation anxiety, it's like you really have to kind of think about it. But I had done that in the past. I was always sort of sad to leave him, but, going to be back in a few days type thing. Yeah. And, he was always okay. But a friend of mine who, so in our COVID times, he and his now wife got married. They were planning a wedding. Then with the COVID thing, it got, postponed. And then it kind of got postponed again, where you're sort of just getting these like group emails kind of thing. And eventually he was like, I don't know when or if we're ever going to be able to do this, and we want to get married, so we're just going to get married. And they were married, just the two of them. I think they had like an efficient, like on Zoom or something. And so they're already married. But the celebration of that was always something that was like, once things get back to normal, wink, wink, we're, then we'll have that party that we were going to have in the first place. They have decided that it's this July, and that is going to be in Ohio, and a state I've never been to, by the way. And I said that I would go, but I mean, and again, this is July. It's currently January. I have quite a bit of time to think about this. But I mean, I was like, of course I'll be there. These are good friends of mine. I mean, I would feel really bad if I didn't go. But I am already stressed about it. Like, I'm legit stressed about like
6 months in advance.
Okay, so like I have to like probably fly into Cleveland and then like rent a car and then get to like wherever their area is and like find an Airbnb or like a motel or whatever,
Yeah.
that's like close to the venue. And like, oh my God. And like Otis can't come with me. And so like, where the hell is he gonna go? Like he'll go with my mom, but still it stresses me out. The whole thing is like, I am legit stressed about something that is 6 months away.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I actually do not blame you. We've been making plans and then unraveling our plans. Just like we were going to go to LA, we're going to go to Hawaii. Thankfully, we didn't buy the tickets, but things keep changing, and a lot of it does have to do with COVID, and someone having cold feet, and other people's plans changing. I can't tell you. I mean, almost every single one of my friends, either their close family member or their close friends or themselves have gotten this Omicron. I mean, it's like just there's so many wrenches out there that are being thrown, and I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna wait. I'm just gonna wait to buy a ticket. Maybe you just wait a few months just to kind of see how things shake out, and then don't worry yourself about it. So much could change between now and then. It could be totally great and open up, and you won't be as worried, and your mom will take oat. But, we tend to worry about stuff that we have no control over, and that you have no idea what the outcome is. It could be great and you're worrying about nothing. But I mean, I'm giving you advice that I should give myself because I do the same thing. But it's hard to say.
It's weird to, I don't want to like go on and on about this, but like, because I know a lot of people either also haven't been on a plane or have, and it's like, yeah, you got to wear a mask, and it's just a different world than it used to be, and I will 100% participate in that world.
Yeah,
I just I'm kind of like, well, that doesn't sound fun at all.
No, I have had some friends who have gone on trips in the last 6 months to a year, and they had a great time and said it was worth it, but that it was really grueling, like going there and getting back, all the paperwork, the testing, the flights, the ornery, passengers, the disgruntled staff. I mean, and then the masks. Like I went to a quick little doctor's appointment this morning, was in the waiting room, and even for me, wearing the mask in the waiting room is hard. Like I really feel smothered. Like I don't like it. Like when I get outside, I'm like, oh, they rip it off, Like I really feel like I have a hard time breathing in masks. I don't know what it is. Maybe I have asthma. I don't know. It's not something that I want to do on an international flight, and I'm just really hoping it's not going to be like this forever.
Yeah.
I don't want to belabor this last thing, but I would say that obviously. We're talking about the pandemic. It's been a few years now, and these few years have proved that you don't have to be physically close to people to be close to people. And, when you and I moved around a lot, Sarah, and I can't tell you how heartbroken I would be when I would move to LA from San Francisco, or to San Francisco from LA, or to New York from San Francisco, where I left people behind, like people, like including you, that I was really close to, and we were in a really tight place, and then I moved away, and geography was always really challenging because you got to get on the phone and you don't see them, especially if you have like regular hangout times, like during every week, like weekly hang times. And so obviously things have really changed. Not a lot of people are seeing a lot of people, but I've never felt closer to people. I mean, maybe never is a strong word, but I feel like I'm struggling to just keep up with all my people. And I think part of it is, we're older now. So like we do have these very established relationships, and I don't see a lot of these people I used to have like my weekly dinner dates and that kind of thing with like a handful of people. And I don't do that much anymore. It's more few and far between. And this is not a complaint, by the way. I love my people, and I don't want to lose touch or not talk to any of them. There's only so much time in the day, and also the days seem to be blazing by. So that doesn't help either. But it's interesting because I just recently lost 2 people that were very close to me that I talked to on the phone a lot. And for some reason, I feel like I have way more people now to catch up with. Like my favorites list, when it's so weird, it's like it grew. I think maybe it is part of the pandemic because I've created these sort of distanced relationships that actually have gotten maybe stronger than they would have been in person. I don't know what it is. It's very interesting, but there's a lot of days I find myself like on the phone like all day, you know, and sometimes I'm just like, oh my God, I can't talk on the phone anymore, you know, and by 6 o'clock, I'm usually, I turn my ringer off and I'm just kind of like spent, you know, I want to watch a movie, drink some wine. I don't usually love talking in the evening. I'm more of a daytime talker. So oftentimes my friends with kids want to talk at like 8:30 or 9, and I'm kind of just like zoned out. But yeah, just the people close to me, friends and family that I feel like I need to catch up with regularly. And my boyfriend so often rolls his eyes because he's like looking for me in the house, and I'm like, he finds me in some room and I'm on the phone again. He's like, you're on the phone again? Like, who are you talking to this time? You know, and obviously the pandemic, you know, pushed us all indoors and all that. And, you know, now we're like more phone, text, DMs, blah, blah, blah. So it's totally understood. But I'm writing so much more like, oh, I'm so sorry for the delay, or blah, 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 blah. I'm not sure I need to do that. I think people understand. But I have mentioned on the show before that, you know, things like Slack and Marco Polo and group text has really helped. All of those things have helped me a lot to not be on the phone all the time. You know, if I send a Marco Polo video to somebody that's a couple minutes long, it kind of serves as a phone conversation, you know, in a lot of ways. But it was funny, just the other night, I was thinking about my friend Lisa. You know Lisa. She's a listener.
I do. Hi, Lisa.
Her and I, you know, we'll chat via text, and occasionally we'll talk on the phone. And you know, she's one of those people that I'm like, oh, I want to give her a call. I should talk to her more often. And we were chatting last night just via text, and she goes, I think I have a sense that I talk to you more often than I do because I listen to your show. And it made me think about all the people in my life who do listen to this show. And it's not all of them, but I do have a handful of friends that listen. And it does kind of feel like, you know, because we'll kind of chat about an episode or something. And it's like, I see how it's like, oh, I already talked to Heather because she was talking at me for an hour, you know? Mm-hmm. I really do feel like like yesterday I talked to like 3 people. I had like long catch up conversations with them on the phone. And then like the day was over. I was like, okay, I'll watch the Yellow Jackets finale and then the day's over. I'd like to hear from you guys about this. Has your social world become more lonely or crazy in a different way? Email us at hi@have such a good time. Have such a good time. Email us at
That'll be our spin-off show, everybody.
That's our phone number. Call us at 1-800-HAVE-SUCH-A-GOOD-TIME.
Let's have such a good time.com.
That's actually a pretty good name.
It is good.
And also, while you're at it, let us know if you're having such a good time on Have Such a Good Day.
Yeah, please do. I know what you mean, though, Heath. You know, there have definitely been times where this is something that, and I don't want to make light of it because I don't want to, but when I think about like depression, I don't feel that I've ever experienced like chronic depression.
Yeah.
I definitely have lows.
Sure.
You know, and then I have highs, you know, where I'm kind of like, okay, well, that low was probably some sort of someone would describe it as low grade depression or something like that. But there have been times, and it often happens over the weekend, where I actually like, I just have time to myself. Like, I'm not working. If I want to be social, I can be, but there are many weekends where, you know, I'm just not, you know, I don't see a lot of people these days, by design. And I kind of, you know, it's 9 o'clock and I'm, you know, 9 p.m. and I'm like, I like can't wait to go to bed. And I kind of think to myself, like, am I depressed?
Yeah.
Am I like, am I like not wanting to be awake enough to enjoy being awake?
Yeah. But it's so, you know, yummy to sleep. I think it's so nice to crawl in bed. It's such a luxury.
It is. You know? Yeah, it is. And that's usually what I arrive at is like, no, Sarah, you're just like warm and comfy and you want to go to bed.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and you're going to get up early anyway. So might as well get some good sleep. But there are definitely times that I sort of wonder, like, what would it feel like to be like, oh, I'm going to bed because I don't want to be awake anymore?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That kind of thing.
I think you would know. I really do. And I'm sure you have nights like that. I think a lot of people do. But I think I get the sense that sure, our lives are not as exciting on an exciting level that they used to be. But we're also not as young. But I do think that you do a lot of things that make you happy. And maybe a lot of those things are being solo. And that's fine. I mean, I get a lot of joy from doing a jigsaw puzzle. I mean, gosh, I hate to admit that, but
my Wordle of the day. I mean,
Wordle. Are you on
thing I
Wordle
do every
too?
morning.
Oh my God, I can't. I don't know. I'm not sure I like it yet. I'm really into word games. You know me. I'm on all kinds of word games, and I'm really on this like. I mean, I've always been a Words with Friends gal. I can't do the Wordle. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
Well, I mean, there's not much to it.
No, you just have to guess a 5-letter word.
Either
that
you
has
figure it out or you don't.
Yeah.
I'm on a roll right now, so I'm like feeling pretty good about myself.
Why? It's so funny how these things pop up and they go like wildfire because all my friends are doing it. Okay, I'm gonna give it another stab.
Give
But
it a
Sarah,
try.
I wanted to ask
Give it a
you,
try.
how do you feel about the expression? Like usually it happens like in an email, but how do you feel about the expression like "sorry for the delay" or "sorry for the delayed response"? Or does that bug you? Does it irk you?
Well, I mean, it better not because I use it all the time. When I say it to other people, no, it doesn't bother me. I mean, I figure if someone says, "Oh, I'm so sorry for the delay," or apologies, I figure, okay, yeah, the email got buried or you were busy.
Yeah.
I give them the benefit of the doubt. And I also do that. I mean, when I say like, I'm so sorry for the delay, it's like, it's not because I've been like looking at your email, like cackling and not wanting to respond to you. Like I really did, like it kind of got buried and like it was on my to-do list and I finally got to it. Sorry for the delay.
You cackling by yourself in your basement. You're just like,
yeah, they're just going to wait for me. But Heather, why do you ask?
Well, I use that a lot. Like, and I've noticed that I'm using it more because I'm really scrambling. It's not even just like my friend group or my family, but like, we run these Airbnbs. So I get a lot of pings from people that have questions or whatever. And I'm just like, I'm rushing to just get back to people all the time. And I've got this business to run and I get these phone calls and these emails that I have to get back to people about stuff. And I feel behind. I just feel behind right now, I think. And so I think I read something online about, I can't remember what it was. It might've been via The Atlantic, about some journalists saying that they cannot stand that response, that obviously that like is a given. Sorry for the delay. And it's something that really irks them. And so I was sort of curious. I'm like, well, I use that a lot. Like, is that, I don't want to
like they're
irk
stating
other
the
people.
obvious.
Yeah. Stating the obvious. Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like if I don't know, if you, Heather, had a tea party and I was late to the party, as I walked in.
Sounds like a fun party.
Totally fun. So much tea. I drink a lot of tea these days, guys. But if I walked in and I was like very late, I'd be like, I'm so sorry I'm late.
Yeah, of course.
Here's why.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Like if you care to even know, and you could be bent out of shape about me being late, or you could be like, oh, no big deal. And I feel like it's the same thing.
Yeah.
With that response, like, sorry for the delay. Like, it's a courtesy.
Yeah, I agree.
Someone could still be like, you still should have gotten back to me earlier than this. I don't accept your apology, but that's on them, kind of.
I agree. I'd be curious to hear what you guys think out there. Hi at havesuchagoodday.com. Does that phrase, like something like that, like sorry for the delayed response, or
is
does
there
that
a phrase
bug you
that just
guys?
grinds your gears?
Yeah, grinds your gears.
Speaking of all the folks who support us, you know who you are if you're listening. That is you, and we love you, and thank you so much for supporting us. If you happen to be listening and aren't already a patron of ours, patreon.com/havesuchagoodday is where to find out more about how you can directly contribute to the show. We are completely community supported, and we cannot thank you enough, all of you, for helping us make our show every month. And if you do join the Patreon at $5 or any level, but $5 minimum. You can hop into our Discord, which is a really fun discussion. We've all become such good buds in there, and I consider our Discorders my really good friends, and thank you in advance. That's almost like the same thing as like, sorry for the delay. Yeah. Thank you in advance for contributing.
It's so true. It's so true. It's like a given. Yeah. But you know, it's funny. We've been talking a lot about.
Thanks in advance for doing this thing for me you didn't want to do. I've already thanked you though, so you have to do it.
But no, our Discorders are awesome. And we're talking about a lot of shows we're watching right now. And I'm trying to catch up. And I've been gone. So I've been sort of AFK, if you will, if people even use that anymore, or maybe that expression grinds your gears.
I would know what you meant.
I know. We used to use that a lot back in the day. I don't see it that much anymore, though. It's usually, you know what I mean? It's like BRB. I think has become AFK.
If somebody knew my habits enough, knowing that like I actually usually am sitting at a keyboard.
Yeah, you are
doing something. You know. Work or fun or whatever it is. If I was like, oh, I was AFK, it means like, wow, I was like away from my computer. I couldn't actually respond.
You're like actually out in the world.
Sorry for the delay. Apologies.
On that note,
so many apologies.
We do have an increased patron, Jill. That's all
Jill.
I got is Jill. One of my best friends' names is Jill, so I love that name. Welcome to the fold.
I have a cousin Jill, who I don't think this is, unless she's like a mystery fan Jill of the show. But Mystery Jill, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. We also got a really nice email from Kyle. Now Kyle is 2120's tuxedo cat. So Kyle and 2120, they're a bonded pair. But Kyle, the cat, was the one that wrote us this time, who I think was addressing this to you, Heather, saying, I know someone who's going to check out the True Bill app that will send opinions within a month, and will send his opinions within a month. Now, the True Bill app, as I understand it, Heather, is all about trying to keep track of all the things that you're subscribed to.
Exactly, like your Netflix and your Amazon.
Get out of control.
Exactly, you're not like overpaying, or you know when to cancel. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Kyle the cat also asked me if my cat Ralphie was okay, because I think the last time we all talked, he was not feeling so great. And, he's doing pretty great. First of all, I have now had Ralphie for just under 2 months. Mm-hmm. It's very new. And my mom came over the other day, and, I was like showing her how I like trim his nails and everything, because he's a polydactyl. He has like a lot of nails. And she was just like, I don't know how you do it. And I felt so good about myself, where I was like I am kind of a cat whisperer.
You are.
Like I choose lemons for sure, so that's on me. But like, I really like
you choose
Ralphie
lemons.
Is, they're just, they're expensive. They have all sorts of problems. But Ralphie is such a great little cat. Like he's really just come into his own in the house lately.
I can't wait to
he
meet
and Otis
him.
get along great. He is so
sounds like
cute.
a real cutie pie. Well, Kyle also said he hopes that this year that Ralphie might find a girlfriend, and he says, "Love to all from effin' Frozen NYC." I really like this guy's style. He's guy, gal, whoever you are, tuxedo cat. We love you. You are lovely.
We do love you, Kyle in 2120. Ralphie, I don't know. So when I adopted Ralphie, they said very specifically, he's 7 years old and 2 weeks. And I was like,
7?
Says who?
Wow.
7 years old, but 2 weeks?
Wow.
Like not even like 6 months or, more
That's
common
pretty accurate.
roundup type of thing, where I'm like, did someone tell you that he was 7 years old in 2 weeks? Nobody could really answer that question for me, because he had sort of been bounced around between shelters before I ever got to him. But he's fixed, and that was, I didn't have to do it. He was already fixed. I don't think he's gonna have a girlfriend, but he sure does like Otis. I don't think they're in love. I think they're like
They're getting
happy,
along.
coexisting
I
siblings.
love that.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Yeah.
It's a fun,
Yeah.
I love the new animal dynamic. As you know, I'm waiting impatiently to get my own dog, but I have to wait a little bit longer. So on that note, I think we're going to wrap this baby up.
I know it's good. We've just been yapping up a storm today, Heather.
We have.
It's because we have
what
so
we
much
do.
stuff to say. It's what we do. But yes, thank you everybody for listening to the show, and for those of you who have been with us from the very beginning, 132 episodes. How about that?
Oh, wow.
How about that? And for anybody who might have joined us recently, we'd love to know more about you. Who are you? How'd you find us? Do you like us? hi@havesuchagoodday.com is a great way to send that email. Unless you want to hop in our Discord, which, as I described earlier, you can also do.
Yes. And you don't have to you don't have to talk a lot in Discord. You can just kind of observe and
You can just be mute.
and yeah, you can be
One.
totally. Just
I sometimes do. I sometimes go in there and just like read everything everybody wrote and was like, oh, cool. Like I feel like I'm like caught up.
Yeah.
But like I don't really have anything to say.
Exactly, and that's fine.
And that's fine too. Well, listen, y'all, we're going to get on out of here. We will be back next week with episode 133. Until then, I hope everybody stays safe and warm and away from tsunamis. Wear that N95 mask.
Yep.
And we'll be back doing it all again next week. Until then, I will remain Sarah.
And I will remain Heather forever.
Have such a good day.
Bye.